I know we're a little long-winded on the weapons, but I do think that weapon diversification is quite important, especially for someone that just wants to play a specific element with a specific weapon. It's just how they pick up the game and go, I want to be a dark bow user, or I really like playing the ice. I'm a defensive kind of person, so let me grab a hammer. Well, yeah, don't really get that. So let's talk about armors. Alright, so villager set, super easy to make. You literally just need 6 leather and you can have the whole set. And you get enemy loot up. Well, what does that mean? I don't know, let's mouse over it and find out. No, you can't do that. You don't know what that means. It doesn't really explain at all. It just says enemy loot up, and there's not anywhere in our fun little journal that we look through that explains what all the buffs and debuffs do. It doesn't really talk us through that. But at least you get to know what an outpost looks like. Look at this cool model we made. So, definitely on my roadmap of things I want to fix. I need to adjust it so it actually says what that does, what the description is if I mouse over it, or even just put it into the journal so it explains what all the buffs do, so I can see that easier. But hey, honestly, putting this on the villager set is an amazing thing. So getting double the enemy loot means I'm getting Linnorm spikes faster, I'm getting the Brittlefar Amber faster, as well as Yarn and things that are important for my later builds, which is great. So then we move into our greens, which your options are Hessier or Raider, which is really honestly a kind of cool setup, and I do like the way they have it. Is your options are doing Sword Up or Axe Up. Well, if you're not using either one of those, then you look at it between, well, do I want to go into the fire area or the frost area? Well, going into the Hessier side gives you more frost resistance, which means you're able to stay out at night easier, especially good at the beach. Not quite enough to get you into the frost zone, because it's still not enough. But the Raider gives you access to the desert. So this will actually allow you to go into the desert during the day without a problem with a full set of Raiders. But otherwise, it's, oh yeah, I'm using a sword, so I want Sword Up. Or I'm using an axe, so I want Axe Up. So a nice diversification there, especially considering how Sword and Axe are overall less percentage plus than Elemental, which is the important one, which I'll get into later. But in short, the Axe plus, or sorry, anything that's Weapon plus is going to be a nice 2%. So, alright, a full set's plus 10% to axes, or plus 10% to swords, which is, hey, that's pretty good, all things considered. Then you get into the hammer, so with a ferrule. So if I want the hammer up, I go full ferrule. Cool. Hammer, ferrule, got it. The downside to this set is, one, it's our last normal, and it requires boar bristles, which are really pretty tough to track down because there's not a good place to find those. They're pretty sparse. They're not as common as any of the materials like silver or even small bones. Coming across boars is fairly difficult and really tough to do to track them down because they're just bright forest only. Pigs don't even get to you, so you just gotta hope that you get some boar spawns and enough to get a full set of it. So for the most part, this is a very skipped set of gear. Even if you're running hammer, you still don't even want this as a step up. Raiders and Hessiers, not a bad step up, but for the most part, you really aren't going to run Feral for any reason as a full set. Definitely not a bested slot for any build. So, Nornir, this is our first elemental set of gear. Nornir is the guy that has the bow and the axe. So, here's his set. Here's what he looks like. He definitely enjoys the Nornir stuff. So, Nornir is the first of our pluses, so this Thunder Up and Shockproof. So Shockproof's handy if you're fighting Linnorms, or if you're fighting the goblins that are in the swamp that give you stun, and same thing with the big troll that stuns you. Because those are the 3 sources of lightning damage in the game. The 3 sources of lightning damage in the game. Okay, I just want to make sure that was clarified. The problem with that is that you will realize that That's really the only use for shockproof that you're going to have. So, yeah, not super great. But Thunder Up is the elemental boosts that is treated the same way that the Thunder Embrace is you get elemental stats on all weapon, shields, and armor. So the elemental stats on your everything, weapon, armor, shields, all the same stuff. You get the bonus. So it just makes it even stronger. And it's not 2% like our weapon up. It is 4%. So it's at a whole plus 20, which just makes it better. So if I'm running a sword that's lightning, looking at you, Baldur, because you're the only one that's that, I could get Hesir and have plus 10%, or I could get Nornir and have plus 20%. So Nornir is just better for that specific case. So the point being that your Thunder Up, your Lightning, or sorry, Thunder Up, Dark Up, Ice Up, and Fire Up are going to be your best in slot for doing damages with those specific elements, because they're going to give you the most elemental boosts. So, but Pansy, what if I don't want to do damage and I want to be more supportive to my team? Is there anything I can pick? Well, that's a great question, and the answer is no. Sorry. I mean, axe, hammer, sword. This is great early game, but Villager's not good enough to be best in slot for anything at the end game, unless you play on Neverleap. Healthing up, you really don't need to do bonus damage to health things, especially in this dark set. I'll come back to Setter here in a second because it's the worst set in the game. There's a fire up, there's an ice up, there's a dark up, and Fury. Well, what about Fury? Well, what about Fury? It's supposed to give you an extra damage and attack speed after you kill something, but I hadn't really actually seen that be useful, and I haven't seen any DPS numbers at all exceeding anything. And of course, Spear Up. So everything is going to give you a plus to a certain type of weapon or element. If you break it down into that, the only three that do that is your plus for health things. You get attack speed and movement speed after killing something, or you get extra loot. So pretty much pick the one that's going to give you the most element plus is the best way to look at it. You could just go for the highest armor, but then you're not optimizing your damage, and even then, getting the highest armor is not super good. So, again, I know what you're thinking, but the gold armors. I'm not talking about gold. Moving on. Alright, so Setir. Let's talk about how bad Setir is. Void Proof. Well, what's going to hit me with the Void attack? I have no idea, because there's nothing that actually shows the Void debuff. You don't actually have icons to see when this is applied. It doesn't read super well on your actual character. You don't know if you're just taking the after effects of a hit or if it's like a lingering debuff. So you have no idea when you're actually taking Void Proof or taking Void as the debuff. You also get Healthing Plus, which is neat, but if you're running Dark Armor, you're probably going to want elemental boosting to do more damage to health things to make them more deader, and you're gonna want to pick the same weapon as the same element. And it's not like it's just an easy pick off, because healthing rings are very hard to come by, considering how they only drop at night from those health things, and this isn't just an easy set to grab. So it's not even worth picking off low. Granted, it is the coolest looking set by a long shot, in my opinion. I think Setir looks amazing, especially for a blue. But other than that, it is way, way, way underused. It's not good at all. So, Golvig is the most used and easiest to access set of all. There's no reason not to run Golvigs, because, hey, every single class here has a Fire Embrace in one way or the other, except for our poor Ranger, because he has bows, and shame on you for liking bows, Ranger. Anyway, so yes, everything can use fire, so you can get Fire Embrace with any set, and of course you can pick any weapon playstyle you want with fire, because fire is just really, really the thing to do. So hey, you can't go wrong with Golvigs, because you're probably using a fire weapon, because they do the most damage, and that's what's all about, is doing damage. Man, only if there's some way to change that. So, all these give you fire plus. Yarn, Garnet, and Brittlefar Amber, really easy to come by. Yarn you're going to be doing anyway, from clearing camps to get the beacon maps. Garnet's pretty easy to find in the desert, which you can get as soon as you have the Raiders set. Allows you to go into the desert without a problem. And then, of course, you know, Brittlefar Amber is all over the place now, especially with the Volcanic Spires having Brittlefar Amber in them. So, moving on into the purples, we have our first piece of ice that shows up. Hey, that good, strong ice that's so good, and it's only found in purples, and there's only 2 weapons that's just that powerful. Yeah, no, not really. Not really at all. It's not strong at all, and fire's just better. And the defensive buffs are nice, but if you kill the things, you don't take damage. So do what you will with that information. But the short is that Utgard is on his own. He's the only guy that's got ice stuff. And the only way to get ice stuff is by playing full Utgards. And yeah, the one advantage to Utgards is it is the highest ice resistance. So it actually lets you go in the snowy area, but you need the snowy stuff to go. You need the materials from the snow area to go in the snow area. So, it's kind of counterintuitive to me. You know, I don't really know what the design decision was behind that. There's not a way to get the unfrozen talismans or aquamarines outside of the snow area. So once you have it, you can go in the snow area and you can last all the way to day 14 and be out and about without any problems. But yeah, don't know why you're doing that anyway. So. Serpent stuff. We talked about the poison proof briefly. You really don't need poison proof for anything, but the dark up's great, especially on tier 4 armor, because that makes it best in slot, especially for any dark build. It's really not too tough to get it all. Oiled leather is really easy to come by. Amethyst is found on beaches. The only thing is you just need to go out into the land of pools at night to get the Midnight Yew Essence, which is 3 piece per, so it's a grand total of 15, which is really, really easy to get, especially if you're using, you know, even like I was talking about earlier, up to a blue level axe. That's minimum 5 trees. So, maximum 5 trees. Maximum 5 trees. So you can get it really pretty quick, especially if you have the lucky loot and you can go out there and get doubles, then you're done really quick in one night. You can have all the 15 Yew Essence that you need. So again, that's a full set of armor. So you really, really don't need to get the purple or the gold harvesting axe. And I can even see an argument for not even needing the blue one for the most part. But hey, you know what? They're fun to have, and they're probably useful in survival. Yeah, it's for survival. That's what it is. I've decided. It's for survival. Anywho, Selkie Flippers, you'll get a ton of these just from clearing the islands. You know, you can grab a boat, go out and do the islands, but for the most part, you really want to be getting those beacons down. So once you get your first one down, you can get a full set of this and run beacons like it's cake. Like, beacons will be so easy. Or you could just use the opposite element and destroy them really fast too. So, anyhow. So Embers. Embers is another fireproof. It's even better than Golvigs as far as fire resistance. The only downside is you don't get the fire plus, you don't get the extra 20%. You actually just get Fury, which I haven't seen super useful. And the only downside is you have to open up Surtur's Volcanic Spire before you even get over there. Which is cool, you know, going over there, harvesting stuff and coming back. But, okay. So, Serpent Boots. The purple stuff's actually really interesting just as a whole. The Serpent purple stuff came from Season 2 and was introduced with all the poison, so you have to go out to the Season 2 mechanic of going out to the islands to get it. Ember's Core, you have to go to the Season 3 mechanic of the Volcanic Spire to go out and get it. And then Alva's Gauntlet, which is the joke set of armor that I will always refer to as the joke set of armor because it's the second worst set of armor in the game. It is, you have to do the fishing mechanic, which is added in Season 3. So, and hey look, Utgards is the only set of 4s, so it makes sense with you being the whole defensive guy. If I don't need a new mechanic, I'm just always really defensive. But everything else is unlocked, so. But again, really the only 4 sets of armor that's worth paying attention to is Utgards, Golvigs, Nornirs, and Serpent. So, and I'll even note here before long talking about how Dark's not even a viable element. So yeah, Alvis. Let's talk about how bad Alvis is. One, you have to play survival to go get it. So you have to go out of your way to go collect all the Alvis stuff up to an epic crafting station, which takes a bit, and then you have to go grind branches to get the helmet. So after you've done that, you're like, hey, cool, now I can go build the Alvis stuff. How good is it? Well, it's not good. Two reasons. One, shockproof. We already talked about shockproof. There's only 3 sources of lightning damage in the game. I guess technically if you include the lightning, if you include Jarn Saga, but Jarn Saga's not enough to build a whole set of armor around, and even then, you're probably going to be wanting to run dark anyway. Because here's the thing, if I'm going to get Fire's Embrace and Spear Up to run a full fire build, I'm not going to get the extra benefit of getting a boost to my armor as well if I'm not running fire armor. So why would I get the Embrace? So, okay, let's say I run a lightning spear. So that way I get the lightning plus and I get the spear plus. So now I'm doing plus the 40% that I get total from the skill tree, the 30% off the skill tree, and then the extra 10% off of the armor to give me the maximum amount of spear damage, lightning spear. This is the only class that can do that. And it's the one class that can play with nothing other than the bow. Otherwise, you're wasting a ton of skill points to play this class. They hate the ranger. They hate bows. Got it. Noted. In my roadmap, the ranger has a nice, lovely rework coming to him. So, more on that in a bit. All right. So yeah. So that's talking about the armor. Villager cap's really good. The green stuff's a nice, good step up. Feral gets neglected a bunch. Nornir is the lightning option. Setir is the worst set of armor in the game because there's no reason to run that. And Golvig is arguably the best. It's not the most defensive because Embers is more defensive, but hey, you at least get the Fire Plus. So, then your 2 defensive types, your Ice and your Serpent, are going to be... Sorry, your Ice and your Dark, get to have the defensive extras while being really good, which is kind of a nice design choice. I'd like to see having purple sets for all of them with the Fire, Ice, and Dark, and Thunder up all up here. But yeah, Ember's set just feels weird. It looks great, don't get me wrong. Aesthetically, they've done very, very well. So, and Alvis, oh, poor Alvis. Alright, we'll briefly go over the golds. We talked about Fornot, and we talked about Balder being the kind of, hey, we need gold players. Well, great, we have Fornot. That's our ice guy. The stats for the defensive stuff's really, really great, but I do want to make this little note here. Scaling, that's 18 to 14. That's 1 extra point for Golden Horn. So 8 to 9. Like, you're not getting that much more defense for the Fornot. So it's really, really pretty useless. But Pansy, the Jotun up. Yes, indeed, the Jotun up. That does 3% extra damage to Jotun. 3%. That's 15% total to Jotun, when you could be doing 20% to everything with a Dark Up. Just saying. And by the time you get here, you're probably already down at least 2 Jotuns, so, yeah. I think the only argument you can make is this stuff has really good ice protection. You only need sapphires. Oh, sorry, I did misspeak. You're correct. Sapphire is for the ice area, Aquamarine is from the beach. So really, Unfrozen Talisman's the only thing from the ice area that you need. But either way, in order to get this other set of ice armor, you still have to go in the ice area to give you protection from it. So, and again, ice proof. Don't know how frequently I get frozen because I don't ever see those debuffs. So yeah, all in all, not that much better than Alvis, which is the same as Embers. So why am I not just running Embers? And Serpent's a little bit weaker, but that's okay. Baldur's with the HP regen, yeah, that's cool. That's just a cool thing. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's a cool thing. HP regen's neat. Again, these are the fun, cool armors that are suboptimal. Fenrir, same thing. I'm gonna do it. Oh look, Ancient Up. Well, yeah, it is Ancient Up technically, but that just means that you're doing 3% more. So that's another 15% versus 20%. So Element's just overall better. Jorgamander's Grip. Oh look, more poison proof. We talked about this. Poison proof's not good. Mana regen's kind of neat, but for the most part, you really don't need it. And the overall resistances, these being the flat 5s, is kind of cool. It just makes you feel overall tankier. Just makes them all-around solid armor. And then Surtur. We talked about how Surtur's resistance scaling's bad, just neglected. So, the Blaze is a neat ability. You're just constantly catching stuff around you on fire. I think it's supposed to be retaliate, but I think it actually is just, you're just always on fire, which is kind of cool. A neat armor. So if you're into the neat stuff, then there it is. The problem is once you get to the point where you can beat Surtur and you can clear through the Volcanic Spire, you really don't need his armor to get through the other two bosses. You can if you don't want to, just for fun. Again, anything gold is quote-unquote just for fun and definitely not necessary. And you've just got golden horns burning a hole in your pocket. And even then, I feel like they're suboptimal too. Like, you're not getting extra damage. Like, your most damaging builds are still going to be the purples and blues. So, on my roadmap, what would it look like? Great question. I definitely make it to where these also have the fire up. Or make it to where these are the best in class for each of them. So, yeah, not the purples and the blues being the best. Like, well, I do extra fire up damage. So yeah, either the elements need to be reworked, the thunder up, fire up, dark up, ice up either need to be reworked where they actually don't give a damage bonus and they just make you more likely to do your elemental effect. At that point, then yeah, you can make an argument that the top tier armor is actually top tier, making Surtur the best, which it's designed or looking like it should be because it's listed as such. So just it feels very odd and looks odd, especially from a perspective of Saga, where it's like, yeah, I can make this gold stuff, but why would I? It's more of a survival thing. So, and Albus, oh Albus, and hey, look, once again, here we are. There's a spear plus, there's a hammer plus, there's an axe up, and there's a sword up. What's missing? That's right, our good friend the bow. They just hate the bow. Sorry, Ranger. So, alright. Let's switch off of armors and go do something else. So, shields just match the armor sets. For the most part, bigger shield, better shield. I do kind of want to call out the designers here just for a second. So, Golvig's Guard, fire shield. You got 34 shield armor. It's got plus 10 fire resistance, minus 1 ice resistance, plus 1 dark resistance, and plus 5 lightning resistance. Cool. Step up from that. The next fire shield is Ember's Guard, 12, 1, 1, 6. So 10, 1, 1, 5, 12, 1, 1, 6. Just a straight upgrade. There's nothing about Golvig's Guard that is better than Ember's Guard. So let's go to the gold version and what? 10, 1, 1, 5? Wait a second. 10, 1, 1, 5. 10, 1, 1, 5. 12, 1, 1, 6. So you're telling me this purple shield has higher resistances, even though a lower shield value than the gold? Oopsies. Did the developers literally just take the Golvig set, do a copy and paste, and then adjust armor values and aesthetics and names without adjusting the resistances? Let's find out by looking at the armor sets. Booties. Alright, so plus 4, 1, minus 1, plus 1, 2. So 4, 1, 1, 2. Versus the Ember Guards. 6113, straight upgrade. 4112. 4112. Oh no. They did. The Surtur's just a Golvig copy that they took and put some new skins on and was rushed out just a little bit before they got all the quality control checks. Oh goodness. So yes, the Ember's Guard actually has higher flame and lightning resistance than the Surtur set, which is a little bit disappointing. Granted, the overall armor is higher because they're like, yeah, it's going to scale because it's a gold tier, and it's going to get the gold tier reductions because it's a gold tier, so plus 11 to frost and 17 to fire, and they're more than the 3 and the 9. Which is even more than the 3 and the 6. So you at least get the temperatures and the defense, but for the most part the resistances are just copied and pasted exactly. So whoops, that got called out a little bit. So for the most part, yeah, the armor sets, these are just going to be, ooh, this is fun. So all right. Alright, well, that's going to do it for the armor section. Thanks for watching, folks. Our series will continue on. I think we actually finally make it into talking about individual classes from here on. So, hey, we talked about the weapons, we talked about the armors. As always, feel free to drop some comments below of agree, disagree. Hey, this video is 12 years old all of a sudden, and man, how times have changed, depending on when you're watching it. So yeah, feel free to drop comments, and always head on over to Tribes of Midgard Discord and send a message. Hop on in. So feel free to subscribe. Once again, I really don't post on here, but the decision is yours. So, well, thanks for watching, folks. We'll catch you on the next episode of Pansy Plays. See ya.